All right, this meeting is being recorded, both audio and video. Make a motion to call the meeting to order. It is now 7:06. And let's go down the agenda. Minutes from the last meeting, October 20th, sent those out. Does anybody have questions? I know, Ann, you had a couple questions. I put those updates on the
As long as those
meetings.
updates were there, that's great.
Okay, and I know you may not have had a chance to look at them.
I haven't, no, just
Take a couple minutes.
briefly looked down.
Any
I'm
questions?
sure
I
they're
do not.
Okay.
Todd may want that.
Oh, yeah, this is the Recreation Commission meeting.
That's the shorter agenda.
Gotcha.
The details are on the next page.
Looks good to me.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from October 20th.
Aye.
Second, maybe?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
No. Now it's
Aye.
aye. Okay. Accepted minutes from October meeting. All right. Memorial benches, wording for the brochure.
So I sent everyone the wording that I had proposed for the memorial benches. So hopefully you had a chance to read that, and it does address the, that we'd have, it's for in the long-term affiliation or connection with Norfolk, whether it be in residency or in service.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the terminology I incorporated. And it gave a price, and it was just saying to get back to us.
Okay.
Okay, so I said that. If you have any questions, I mean, there's still time. If you think about it and you want to change something, I'll probably be going to the printer in the next 10 days or so. But until then, you can certainly make any changes or just let me know.
Okay. All set with memorial benches then? Good.
Yep, that was
Okay.
all. It was just so you could see the wording.
All right. Now, open space and the recreation plan survey, input requested.
That was Gino Carlucci, who's doing the open space and recreation plan through the CPC, sent out a request to update the survey, I don't know if I should be saying updating the survey. He sent out the last survey that was sent out with the last time
90s.
in the 90s. So I don't know if update, it's more like redone. So he had redone some of it. He actually came to see me this past Friday, and I made some changes that I had seen just in the names of, just because so much has changed in that amount of time. He had already made some changes, so I just continued with those. I also gave him the survey that we sent out with our master plan. I also, when I met with the CPC last Wednesday, and I had told them, and I also told Gino that I'd be glad to have an insert put into our the recreation brochure, like a bright page, letting people know what it is. I think it's a little confusing if you have an open space and recreation plan versus a recreation master plan, and like what the difference is. So our plan was mostly for the layouts of the fields and the facilities at hand and how we're going to address those. Where the open space and recreation plan is a document for the state, and there's grant money fund tied to it, and it's it's a different. The purpose and the scope of that project is much larger. So, but I think that just because the names are so close, it can be confusing. I think I would be confused. So if Gino, and he said, great, that would be a great thing. So we may have a one-page insert in the brochure, sort of big letters,
Yep.
what we're doing, what the, maybe, a short explanation, and then a connection, a way to access the survey for the open space plan, because it's, it's really important. The Lynn property was bought with a grant that was available to us because we had in place an open space and recreation plan. If a town does not have that document in place, an updated document, even though it was done in 1995, I think there's, and I don't quote me on this, but I think there's a 10-year limitation to it.
Okay.
And if it's outdated, you're not able to apply for grant funds. So it opens a lot of doors. So even though it sounds like it's a similar document than the recreation master plan, it's a different it's really quite different.
Okay.
So it would be wonderful if people took the opportunity to respond. And a lot of the questions may be similar, but there are other questions as well.
Okay. And what are the next steps on that? Going in the brochure, you receive the information back, and then,
I'm going to just put a page in the brochure that gives people the access
Okay.
or how to connect with the survey.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's SurveyMonkey. I don't know for sure, but I'm
I
assuming.
believe it's going to be.
Okay. So that information will also be at the town meeting. So I'm really just sort of giving, just one more way of letting people know about
Okay.
what it is. So it's nothing's coming back to me. I'm just going to be able to put that into our brochure. And the last time I did that, I don't think there was much cost involved, other than the printing of the paper. I'd have to check, but I would imagine it's probably minimal because they're already doing the brochure. It would
Right.
have to be an insert, but I'm sure and I mentioned it to CPC, and I'm sure they would cover the cost if there
okay.
is one.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Not for me.
All right. Next item, camera quote, lighting status at Pond Street.
So, as we've talked about before, because of the vandalism for the tennis courts, we're not only getting the tennis courts fixed, we also want to prevent future vandalism, hopefully. And in this process, actually, the last time we met, I had told you I'd met with an electrical person and
Have that right?
Yep, and to look at equipment. And since then, I met with a representative from RAB, or RAB. I think it's just, they say RAB. They provide a lot of commercial lighting. There's a cage on it that's heavy duty. And he came out and he looked, and we talked about different possibilities. And I told him that one of my concerns was putting the lights on the pavilion because they're really only 12 feet up.
Right.
And the other, so my concern is, them not lasting for various reasons. But also, the higher the light, the more, the different broadcast, thank you, that you have. So he actually, it was great. It was a great meeting. He actually said, they have a pole, it can be, I think it's 20 or 25 feet,
Okay.
that goes into cement. It's, a 6-inch square pole, I think. And other companies have this as well. So that was a conversation I had with the electrical inspector, Ron Bain, as well, to get other pricing. But to have, instead of having it on the pavilion, to have a pole put up near the pavilion. The electricity goes to the pavilion, so have it put up. And then you can actually have more lights right on the pole. You can add, 2 or 4 lights on the pole. So the display is much wider. So with that conversation, I haven't priced out that equipment yet, but I also, I called the vocational school, and I haven't heard back from the vocational school yet
Okay.
to ask if that is a project that they could do. Because the electricity is already to the pavilion, so that you'd have to run it across. And in talking to Ron Bain here, he had suggested maybe a precast cement form that you could get it, you could get, and you could attach the pole to it. It attaches with big bolts. I'm assuming it's not, because you'd have to have the wire going in. I'm not sure how it works, but, so anyway, I'm going to pursue that. And since the tennis courts won't be repaired until the spring, my goal is sort of to have the lighting up for that time. But it would be wonderful if we could have the vocational school do it.
Okay.
I don't know if the vocational school can do the camera as well. That's a lot more money. That's, I don't have the quote with me, but I can forward that to you.
Okay.
I had figured I'd start talking to them about one thing,
Okay.
okay? And that would be, and that, I mean, that would be, that, the price for the camera is so high, it would be a capital expense. That would be, it's really it's a different ballgame.
And any idea on these poles, what that cost might be? Because I know
I-
that we priced, it was like 1,700 and change for Previtt, but then we had to also add in the lights themselves.
Right, the lights that I had priced with private were about 300 each, but I didn't price the pole out. But so
Okay.
I'm hoping that we could put the cost into the equipment
Okay.
and reduce the labor cost, and we can still apply for a grant,
Okay.
so, for the cost of the materials.
And Scott was looking into that? Scott
He
Bragdon?
just said I just have to get him the number.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll be working on that along with the other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on, next item, update on Fieldwork, Fields A and B.
Yep, just, so I'm waiting to hear back from STS. I'm going to have them do the field work on A and B like we had discussed. There are a couple of spots, and it was mentioned at the last meeting, on fields H, I, and also C. So I'm not sure how much DPW can do, but they'll do those as well. We're also needing to put together, this was a transition year for DPW, so we need to put together a plan for next year, just to outline what DPW will be doing versus what we'll be doing with outside vendors. DPW doesn't have the equipment to do deep tine aeration or anything
Sure.
like that. They haven't, and most companies, I don't know of any town that does, actually. I'm sure there's one somewhere, but I don't know of it. But that's when we hire people to come in and do it. So, but I think it would be a good thing to start thinking about a plan for next year to know, at least as far as fertilization and such, because we used to have someone that would come and fertilize, but I think it's best if we just have a plan to know what DPW will be doing as far as fertilization and even, raking and making sure that it's, a commitment they can follow through with each week and get that in place so the organizations will also know what they can expect.
Mm-hmm. With deep tine aeration, any idea what we spend? Just
In total?
roughly, yeah.
Well, it's
I know it
between
changes
600 and
each season.
750 an acre. So it's about $1,500 for a soccer field.
Okay.
And that's just the aeration. A lot of times when we're doing A and B, we'll be doing the seeding as well.
Sure. Fertilizer.
And on A, I'm actually waiting to hear back if they think that if it's a good idea to add some sand to the field for drainage, but I'm sure I'll hear in the next, week or so.
Okay, and then the football field?
The football field's actually in very good shape.
I know it's just that center that seemed to be a
Yep.
little bit of problem, but.
Yep, so we can we'll either, because it's such a, DPW will probably be able to seed that.
Okay.
I'll look at it, we can look at it after football ends, I think, next week.
And then field H, where we had the depression, I know that's the area where
Yeah.
trees seem to be rotting and stuff.
I'm going to have STS look at that, because the
Okay.
last time we did, it is definitely a depression. The last time, we can add our own material that we have. I don't know if we want to come in and try to crush down even more, like, to use a heavy equipment to really pound it down as far as it can go.
And then deep tine aerate.
Well, yeah. Well, you'd be putting new material on top. So I don't know that there's an easy way to fix that without knowing what's really underneath there.
Sure. I think it's just a year by year having
Yeah.
to address it, unfortunately,
Yeah.
without knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else on the fields?
Only that I received an email tonight from football with the water bill,
Okay.
the water bill that was due today. So they were asking for an adjustment. I think they're asking for an adjustment. Softball uses that water, but very, very minimally. I think it was in July that I even showed them how to use it, and that's after their season.
Okay.
And I don't want to, I mean, like, every year, volunteers change every year, so
Yep.
someone from last year could have known how to use it, but, and we do use that water when we use liquid fertilizer, but we only do that once a year, so it's a very minimal amount. But I'll check with the water department to see if I can get readings by month, just to make sure. So, but football uses a significant amount of water,
Okay.
so.
And does
I'll
the
let-
school itself use any of the water?
No.
Just football?
Yep.
Well,
goes-
primarily.
Yep. Goes right out to, there's no other outlet. Goes right out to the football field.
Okay.
And the only other, there's an outlet right on the outside of the softball field, and then the football field, and the hose, the water spigot. So, I mean, there was the sod that was put down, and we used but we used water for that repair.
Mm-hmm. But that was the football field.
That was a football field. It's also hand watering. I mean, when you have hand watering, it's a much smaller amount than
Right.
anything else. So
Not
I'll
going
ask, but
three-quarter
I'll ask
bunch.
water to see if, the water department to see if they can give me a breakdown by month, so just looking at numbers would be easier, I think.
Yep. Anything else on fields?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Tennis court update?
This is just quickly, so that at the town meeting, they'll be asking to transfer the funds to repair the tennis courts, and that money will go into the recreation expense money, which we don't have an expense account, but we have a line item. We have a line for it, but there's just nothing in it. So they'll transfer that money to the expense account. So we will need a voucher for the 10% this fall to hold our space, hold our spot. And then in the spring, when the repair's done, it'll be the balance of the 90%. So I will, once that passes, I'll need the voucher signed.
Okay.
But I'll be doing a purchase order, and Ending Tennis has already agreed to it.
And has the number been finalized as far as the repairs?
For the painting, I think it was 9480.
Okay.
Yeah. Going by my memory there, so,
And does that include the fixing of the cracks?
no.
No, so that's separate.
9480 is just what the town is doing.
Okay.
And in the spring, if there are any cracks that have developed over the winter, we would include those, but it wouldn't be by town money, it would be by
Sure.
recreation money.
Okay. All right. Just to remind everybody, December 7th is the Santa Parade. You're all familiar with that.
Sunday, we serve
Um,
hot chocolate.
What time does that start again? I forget.
The
3?
everyone gets together to be in the parade at 3. I think the parade starts at 3:30,
Yep.
and then they come back for pictures with Santa and hot chocolate and the tree lighting. Tree lighting's at 4:45.
Okay. Parade.
That brings us to the next item, which is the town hall, the lighting. So, for people that don't know, we actually provide the lights for the tree lighting. So, I get the count from DPW and usually have to replace a fair amount. We don't buy commercial lights, but we don't buy big bulk commercial lights. We've never really gotten there. It would be wonderful if we had someone who put the lights up, so if anyone wants to volunteer to do that, they can do that, but otherwise, it's DPW who puts them up.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be starting soon, I think, probably.
Okay. And that's all of town hall that they do that, right? All the
Yes.
different trees and everything?
Yep.
All right. Looks like town pond update is next for a broken pipe.
Yep. I went to the CPC meeting last week, and talk to them about the condition of Town Pond. So for those people that don't know, we started to try to restore Town Pond about 8 years ago now.
Yeah, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
it's been a little while. We had a few, definitely had a few roadblocks, but we also made some headway, making a path around Town Pond and, coming up with the design, making the path, et cetera. So at Town Pond, one of the things that made it most attractive was that it was a cold pond with a lot, good oxygen, would hold trout over the winter because it was such a cold pond and had these wonderful numbers that made it, terrific for fishing. Well, the Town Pond was, it's man-made, and it's built and fed by a stream, but the stream is actually, what part is man-made is that, besides it being dug out fully, is to have the stream directed into the pond. And that was done with a pipe that was part of, attached, from a well that is probably 30 feet into the woods or so. Tom, help me here. About 30 feet?
30, 35 feet,
Okay.
yeah.
And that, so I'm assuming that was the pipe that was originally put in by Ken Wood in 1960, in the 60s or so?
Early 60s,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, again, I'm just know what I've heard.
Sure.
And that pipe has broken. So about a year ago, even maybe a little longer, we started noticing the pond, it was just looking a little bit flat. And where that pipe used to come in, the pipe used to come into the corner of the pond, and literally, you remember the Beverly Hillbillies? You'd see the oil bubbling out of the ground. That's what it looked like, but it was water.
Okay.
And that's how strong the feed to the pond was. It was a lot of water coming in, and that, then it's like, there's nothing coming in. So we've gone through, we had tried to have the pipe blown out, we couldn't, could only get so far back. They brought in something larger to blow it out, they couldn't do that. They tried to hand dig it, they couldn't do that. So DPW went in and they used a small excavator and started to try to dig up the pipe to find out where they could find the break, and it's all broken. It's just deteriorated.
Sure.
It's a 50-year-old pipe. So, went to CPC, and did they vote to use fixing that pipe? Or did they, I don't know if they even needed to vote. Is fixing the pipe within the scope of the project?
That hasn't been decided yet, to my knowledge.
Oh, okay. So hopefully that'll be decided that was, because without that, if it's in the scope of the project, and it was for the restoration of Town Pond, so I guess I was thinking that would, so they'll decide that, and once that's decided.
Actually, Dan was going to bring it up at the conservation meeting.
Oh, okay, so this Wednesday. So Dan Crafton, who's on the CPC, as the Conservation Commission representative, is going to speak to the conservation on Wednesday about it. And then they'll decide how the best way to have it fixed, and if it is, and CPC will decide if it's within the scope of the project, if they can pay for it.
Now, where does the water come in? I was trying to figure that out. Or where is it supposed to come in?
So when you walk down the path that leads right to the pond, like
Yeah,
over
from the
little,
railroad tracks.
Yep, right. So like
Over
over
that
that little
little-
stone bridge.
Yep.
So you're kind of at a corner of a pond, right there. As much of a corner as there is. It's like a round.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. So Town Pond is shaped like this. That comes down like this. Okay, so my fancy drawing here. So here's the walkway down to the pond, and you get to this corner.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a sandy, grassy area right here. This corner right here is where the pipe comes in.
Really?
Yeah. And that pipe, so this was once beach area,
Yeah.
and the stream is right. And as you walk over that little bridge that's right here, you
Yeah.
walk over a stream, that's the stream. Like, this is the pipe. And this is the well. So So if the pipe would go underground, this is the brook. And the well is right here. So that's the pipe that's broken.
Wow. So what keeps the water in it now? Just the rain?
Well, I'm sure there's some springs that fill up the pond, but it's lower and it's kind of flat looking. Looks dark. Just looks like it's not moving much.
Not lively.
Yeah. I mean, that whole area, there's definitely, water there. I mean, that brook is a pretty strong brook, but
Okay. We'll find out next. All right, next item, looks just like the NCL requested us to be at a meeting of theirs on November 24th.
yes.
Where is that going to be
At the
located?
library.
NCL Library. 24th. It's a Monday?
It is a Monday.
And did they give you a time?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember. Seven sounds good to me, but I honestly
does sound
am
good,
not
but-
remembering. I'm a little embarrassed that
If it's 7 o'clock,
Oh.
I can make it.
okay. I'm sorry, I'm going
That's
blank
okay.
on that one.
We'll just have to get the, so provide us with the time.
I will.
And
I
I'm sure
will.
many of us will be able to attend
Okay.
that. Secretary position?
So at the last meeting, it was agreed by everyone that they thought having a secretary for the Recreation Commission was needed and a good idea. So I put together the list of all the things I could think of that would go into the position, and I handed those out tonight, but the printer wasn't working terrifically, so I'll also email those to you. But basically, it's, everything, not only being at the meeting to take the minutes, but also to prepare the agenda, collect the information, prepare the agenda, copy everything, make sure everything is in line with the open meeting laws, have everything filed correctly. And I had estimated it at about $20 an hour, and I had done it based on about 14 meetings a year. So this would be, because we're in the middle of a fiscal year right now, this would be a budgeted position for next fiscal year, starting, assuming that people agree to it, starting July 1st. I think the total for the position is about $2,800 over the course of the year, and that's based on 14 meetings. I do think it would be nice if, and I did talk to them about possibly doing something now, which is, Jack had already gone to the advisory board for transfers, so, it's a little bit tough right now, but if there's any way that, for 7 meetings left, 4 hours would be about $560. So I was gonna, I talked to Scott Bragdon quickly, but just at the end of last week, so I'll follow up with him on that about this fiscal year. I don't know if anything can be done, or if there's anything, if there's anyone available, just at least let him address that part. But this would be going forward for the following,
2015,
year.
16.
yes.
Okay. All right. Next item is Red Sox update.
I purchased tickets tonight for June 14th. Is that a Sunday? I think it's a Sunday. Toronto, against Toronto. They are in the Coca-Cola Pavilion, and the Red Sox are actually adding another section next to the Coca-Cola Pavilion, which people love that area. And they're adding it right next to that. So if you look at the green monster seats, they're and you look at where the Coca-Cola Pavilion is, there's going to be another section right there. So I have in rows 1 and 2 in the Coca-Cola Pavilion, 16 tickets, and that's section 18. And in section 20, I have the balance of the 52 tickets in rows 2, 3, and 4. So the good news is that it's right, I like it up as close as possible in any section I sit in. But, and those are the only tickets I purchased.
Okay.
I asked about Yankee tickets. Yankee tickets, Red Sox don't sell Yankee tickets unless you want to spend, buy at least 100 tickets and commit to $2,500 in food and drink. Then you have your own little place and a little private party, and you can do it. Didn't think that was on the
Right.
horizon
budget.
for us. So, and Yankees don't sell the Red Sox tickets. We actually used to have a Yankees bus trip years ago. Remember that, Tom? We used to go down to
Yeah,
Yankee
well,
Stadium.
yes, yes.
But Yankees stopped selling Red Sox tickets. too.
Really?
Red Sox don't sell not group tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta figure out next meeting?
Sure. I think I have I know. I have next year's calendar.
Ahead of the game.
It's 2015. So today's 1, 2.
December 15th, otherwise we'll get right into the thick of it.
That's fine with me. That's probably I will.
December what?
15th?
Yeah, don't have it on the 8th,
Okay.
my birthday.
Oh, it is.
All right, we won't have it on the 8th.
Don't.
December 15th?
Good for me.
Okay. I'll let Ken and Kevin know, December
Okay.
15th, 7. Next meeting. Anything else we need to discuss?
Is there anything else you'd like to know about? You can always email me and ask me questions. Sometimes things just go fast,
Mm-hmm.
so
Okay.
everything's in progress. Extended the registration time for Norfolk Youth Basketball because the people doing the uniform gave us a couple of extra days, so the only reason we close it as early as we do is so we can place the order for the uniform. So they gave us a couple of extra days, so I extended it. But I think that we have about 275 or so signed up so far.
Okay.
Is that about the same as last year, or?
That's low, but we also get a lot of late registrations.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate that we get, and I'd hope we get a few more, some more registrations. It's not unusual. People, it's hard this time of year to,
Yeah.
to close registration early. And again, the only reason we do it is so we can get the uniforms order placed. But hopefully with an extra few days, I've opened it up, I can keep it open through this Sunday. So if anyone can register. We've sent out a flyer to the kindergartners. They are so cute, I have to tell you, holding the basketball. But they really do a nice program with the kindergartners, and we asked for a lot of input. We asked for input last year, or feedback last year. We got a lot of it, and so we're going to make some of those modifications, including making Thursdays the practice time for the older kids earlier, and which is terrific, and then also to make some adjustments for the kindergartners. All the kindergartners are great. The high school players are terrific with the kindergartners.
Good.
So it's fun.
Excellent. All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Probably one of our fastest meetings ever.
Second.
And Tom seconds it. It's all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're out of here. 7:40.
Okay.